Hello and welcome to the show. Last couple of episodes we looked at inspiring stories from all over the world, and Shahieda Van Der Schyff is here again. If you recall, she appeared on the show a couple of weeks ago and she spoke about her life journey briefly, and I found that story to be rather inspiring. There's a twist in a few tales there, and that's what I want to discover. I know that there's challenge, there's issues, and there's development through that, and life lessons. And I want to see what those lessons are about. Shahieda, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Faizal, for having me.
So the last time you were here, we spoke about the Factory Shop Expo.
Yes, we did.
But for me, it wasn't about the Factory Shop Expo. I saw something more. And I saw that there was something going on. Someone fueled and driven by things in your past, things that can inspire other people. But before we get there, we need to retrace those steps again.
Yeah,
and see why is that journey different.
Well, Faizal, there's a lot to Shahieda Van Der Schyff, definitely. I'm currently doing a book about my life, so hopefully will be out in December, so people can read about it. And I think it all starts with my mother. You know, she was an extremely courageous woman that was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma at the age of 22.
Which is a form of cancer.
It's a form of cancer, correct. And I know there are probably lots of people that have similar cancers or, different ones. But what was really, difficult for me was the fact that she didn't know she was pregnant at the time. And how do you not know that you're pregnant?
This is actually the time of diagnosis. The pregnancy is coming in at the same time.
Correct. So we're looking at her doing full Monties, operations, removing growths, radiation, chemotherapy, putting in radium pins in her body. So she's literally been said to her face, you cannot be fertile. So when somebody tells you that, you sort of, okay, everything is sorted, I'm not going to fall pregnant. And I think that was sort of her and my father's safe ground. And lo and behold, there's this little baby growing all this time. And how they find out is so strange. She just goes for like a regular checkup, and because obviously the signs of pregnancy are quite similar to the treatment of chemo. You throw up, you gain weight, you feel bloated, all those types of things. And so it was very difficult for her even to judge what was going on with her. And just a normal locum nurse decided to do a pregnancy test. And she literally comes running back. And it's like...
And that's interesting because it sounds like, to me, like there's a case of differential diagnosis. And so what happens is that the symptoms that are in one case could be in another one.
Correct.
So it becomes very difficult.
Very, very difficult.
So what made her go for that test?
I think my mom was just going with the flow that day, from what I've been told. From my dad was with her that day, and they were just doing the normal routine checks like they do, and they were pricking and poking her for months on end. So nothing out of the ordinary, to do a urine test. It just so happened that she did the pregnancy test with that urine sample as well. And so we're talking about just an ordinary locum nurse walks in and says, Mrs. Van Der Schyff, you're pregnant. And my dad looks at my mom and says, can't be. She's got like huge radium pins in her body. No, it can't be. And the nurse really felt that anxious, and she's like, no, let me go and find the doctors. And she gets the doctors also like, no, they get my mom's physician, everybody. Long story short, she ends up going for proper blood tests, and they actually rush her to get the scan, and there's a heartbeat and there's a baby, and it's 5 months already.
5 months?
Yeah.
Now that's a big scoop.
Yeah, and everybody's looking at everybody. Like literally, nobody knows what to say. Whose fault is this? It was like a huge thing. And when I say she was a miracle, she really was. She didn't break down. She wasn't like, oh my God, this is the end of the earth. She literally sat up and she said, what's the next step? Let's deal with this. And they very just abruptly said, you can't possibly have this baby. And she's like, why? Give me reasons. And obviously, remember, we're talking 30 years ago. people weren't that educated as to what chemo could do and what radiation could do and all the pain meds she was on, what that could do. So she wasn't really that clued up, and he's like, but now your baby's probably deformed from all the meds, or burnt, or probably hasn't grown properly. You probably don't even have a baby, so let's get that straight, She's like, but I just heard a heartbeat. That was her response to all of that. And my dad was just like, we need to save my wife, because remember at that time he doesn't know the baby, he doesn't know anything, he just knows what he knows, which is his wife. And they believe that the course that she was on, had she stayed on it, she had a great chance of living. And suddenly their whole life gets turned upside down, and it's what to do now. She made that call within 45 minutes to stop an entire program that was being worked on her.
So that's the treatment for the lymphoma?
Correct.
And she stopped the treatment right
Completely. Not even the slightest pain medication.
Do you think that at that point she realized that stopping this treatment could mean the end of her life at a later stage?
I think my mom had hope that we both would live. I don't think she thought that she wouldn't make it. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting, because I know that you're in the middle of the story and you probably know it better, but I have a feeling that a part of her would know that.
Mm-hmm.
That would say that.
Well, I'm a mom of 3 kids, and I couldn't imagine having to make the choice of your own life and the life of a child. And I've been asked this question so many times, but you don't know that baby, or what they're going to become, or who they're going to be one day. And she clearly knew. she clearly knew.
So when you think about this today, and it's you say just 30 years down the line, do you feel that every step you take today, and every move you make in your life, that your mother, you've got to honor her, because she's literally lost her life to get to this point?
Yeah.
So is that not a tremendous amount of pressure on you? Because somewhere down the line, I'm sure,
yes,
you think that she's looking down,
so
and she's watching.
So this amazing woman, sacrifices her life for someone nobody knows, the outcome, and just out of pure love and faith, she goes through this process, and out comes me, and here she passes away, and she leaves me behind to sort of comfort everyone she left.
What was
look after everyone she left
what
behind.
was the state at the birth itself? So
okay, so I'll just take you to what she went through. So basically, there was a small write-up about her, I think in one of the local newspapers at the time, and they called her the living incubator. So basically what she did was she settled herself at home, in our home in Grassy Park, where they created some sort of hospital area at home to the best of their abilities, and they started treating her holistically. And as you know, there's not much you really can do pain management wise, so with meditation, salah,
and especially
that type
something
of thing
that is as aggressive as cancer.
Correct. Yeah. And she did very, very minimal visits with doctors. So doctors were actually coming in, but not to treat her, just to see and check if there was a movement and if there was a heartbeat. And that was her only concern. And she laid like that till she could not anymore. To my understanding, she started bleeding from the nose and mouth. And that's when
was this prior to your birth? Or
correct. That's why they actually took her in. And that's how they got to have the Caesar at that point, was because the family was like, something's wrong. Something's wrong with Nadia Malik. Something wrong. Let's take it. Let's go find out what it was. And so doctors haven't seen her for months, and here she rocks up. And not a scheduled Caesar, nobody knows what's going on, and they sort of just rushing me, and they get me out.
What I find interesting is that all these years later, and you've been told the story probably over and over by key people that were present at the time, and through any other lineage that's around. It still appears to affect you a lot after all this time. And if it is affecting you after all this time, then surely you're defining certain aspects of your life based on that incident.
Definitely. I feel like for quite some time I felt like I needed to walk in her footsteps and complete the things that she wanted to do. And that's a difficult task to do, you know. And obviously having all this info that was now laid on my shoulders about what her plans were, what she wanted, or, you know, I did the best that I could do with what I had, and I believe to a certain extent making her and my family proud. I think that was really a big thing for me.
So if there was something, if she was listening to you right now, what did you say?
Wow.
I know it's a difficult one, but
I've never
it's
been
really
asked that
interesting.
question. Wow. I'm so thankful.
Yeah, you're making me upset too. I'm going to start now. Yeah. Oh, she also needs some tissues. Yeah. I'm going to take a 5 seconds. Yeah, no problem. Okay. When you asked, I knew, okay, that was trigger. No, but I think it's important. I think it's important to get issues out of my yeah, but I think it's important to get do you want to answer that question?
I don't even know how, Faizal. I don't think I'll get through it.
It's part of the process.
Yeah. I also think this may be a bit of a healing.
Nothing is coincidence.
Yeah.
That question that Faizal asked is not coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. So go with the flow.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
That would be good, yes. I think it's also therapeutic for you.
It is.
Yeah. I think it's therapeutic for you. Welcome back. We just took a brief break. I think the studio has experienced a bit of an emotional roller coaster, and I always say that these issues are very real. But in the end of the day, we need to tell the story so that people can be inspired and at the same time understand. And for those that have your parents around that might go out and not treat them well, understand that there are other people that are yearning to give them a message but unable to do so. So that's something to think about. Shahieda, I want to come back to that aspect and I want you to take a deep breath on that matter. There's a message that you have in mind. If she was listening, what would it be?
Just letting her know that I'm so proud of her for the decisions that she made and for fighting through it all when nobody had faith in her, with the decisions that she made. Couldn't have been easy. I'm just very grateful that I'm here.
Of course. And sorry me, I'm just continuing on my stride on this line. But I have another question for you, and that is that through that and through those experiences, do you believe that that has made you stronger and who you are today? When you initially came into studio, I found this very forceful lady that had this particular mission, particular drive, and sometimes I always think, where does that energy come from? And generally, I mean, things that happen in your life, that's your driving forces.
Yes, it's been a tough one. So just to give the viewers an insight, so you're now dealing with a baby, an infant that grew up without having a mom, so that's obviously got that its own emotional issues, but I had a great support group. Don't get me wrong, everybody pitched in, but nobody can really be your mother, you know. That was the first thing. And then secondly, I actually discovered that I had quite a bit of medical backlash from all the medication and stuff that she had within that time frame. So it wasn't only the 5 months of pregnancy, but pre me being conceived, she obviously was on that treatment as well. So very early on we discovered that I had learning disabilities. One which is quite common was dyslexia. And because
as a result of that treatment?
Correct. Well, we've put all of it in one basket. There's many things. But dyslexia was one that actually popped up very early on. We realized that reading and writing was quite an issue for me. And then the only scar that I had was a scar on the left-hand side, which appeared to look like a red blob. The older I got, it grew bigger, and we weren't really sure if the color would change, and then it did. It turned white. I constantly had to go for treatment just to minimize the size of that scar. I think I was about 11 or 10 at the time when I started complaining about just generally not being able to see. And it seemed as if it was only coming from my left eye. And then you must remember, my dad was a single dad doing the best that he could do. I was being raised by my grandparents, so there was not a lot of finances to just run around and start doing tons of tests. So we waited on your lists to do and what we needed to do. I ended up wearing specs, but what we weren't aware of was that I was actually going colorblind. And so the radiation actually burnt the exterior parts of both my eyes, but significantly the left eye. And I sort of suffered with going colorblind and the dyslexia. So when you combine the two, so now you're seeing things back to front and upside down, and now you're not seeing color properly. So this is like a learning mess up altogether with. But I've been told that I was very feisty and figured it out. Like sat next to someone and copied off the book closer, or I made ways and means throughout primary school. But once we got to high school, you can't really just wing it. You need to sort of really get help and stuff. So I had to sort of start staying after school, getting extra help. I remember like it was yesterday, my English professor came to me and he said, Shahieda, you're extremely intelligent, but when I read what you write, it's gibberish, so read it to me, And I stood up and I read it to him, and he looked at me and he's like, wow, you know what I'm going to do? Let's go and see the principal, and let's see if we can get you to write your exams verbally. And this is where my life changed.
That's interesting. So there were definitely remnants of that particular incident.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that your mother was prepared to take that chance.
Yeah.
So she probably knew that there would be something, but she still wanted to perhaps give you that chance instead of no chance at all. I'm just trying to get into what you could have been thinking at the time. And now you sit 30 years down the line, you do simple things in life, and you do the ordinary things, and you have children of your own.
Mm-hmm.
The reflection now onto that, does it give you a sense of owing your mother something? Or does it give you a sense of, whatever I do in life, I've got to do it correctly because someone sacrificed their life for me to be able to do what I do?
Correct, definitely. Every day, every breath, everything I do.
Do you feel that there's pressure, or do you feel that I'm doing it to honor you?
I think when I was younger, I think a lot of being naive and just not understanding. I think the older you become, that sort of phases out. And now it's a joyful experience. Now it's all about just, giving back and enjoying the space that I'm in,
First ask, what's the greatest lesson you learned out of this?
To never give up, anything is possible. I'm a living miracle,
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You've got certain people in your life, and
Mm-hmm.
one of them are someone that I know very well.
Mm-hmm.
And you now refer to as mother,
Yes, I do.
which I find is interesting, and that's Nadia Jacobs. How did all of that happen? And although you say there's no full substitution on the biological aspect in loss,
Mm-hmm.
but surely they play a major role
Yes, they do.
in that support structure of yours today.
Mhm.
Tell us a bit about that.
In my life there were so many onlookers and friends and family and grandparents, and everybody played a very, very important role. For the viewers that don't know, I studied holistic therapy. I gave a lot of my time in rehabs, giving back, and all different types of institutions where I could, help, just generally help, because that's what I'm here for, to help. And on my path, I met this most amazing woman ever. And you just know that two souls have met before, it was that type of experience. I'm not sure if she if she feels the same way though, but it really felt like that for me. And she helped me plan my wedding, which was the most amazing experience, because for every girl that's like your big day, that's your day. You need your mom, you know. So she felt
That's
that.
right. So
yeah.
obviously she played that role.
Yeah, she did.
And so she's just given you that sense of belonging
Definitely.
from the girl mother aspect.
Yes, and you know, and not only that, there was one evening, I think I just got off the phone with her, and that's probably why she was on my mind, and I went to sleep that night. And I keep on telling the story because it means so much to me. I really dream about my mom. Usually when it happens, it's when I'm extremely stressed or you know, just in a very, very bad place, and I literally have to focus on it, you know, to literally like asking, you know, mommy, come to me in my sleep type of thing. So this was a very, very pleasant dream. And my mom always is very, I can't say happy, but she's got a very pleasant smile on her face naturally whenever
Sort of
I
at
see
peace
her.
kind of thing.
Yeah, whenever. This dream, she was like elated. She was so happy. And we embrace each other. And out of nowhere comes Nadia. Just out of nowhere. In my dream, I'm actually saying to myself, oh, okay, you're visiting us type of thing. And with my mom not saying anything, she never said anything. She just took Nadia's hand and she placed it together.
And you saw the symbolism in that?
I did.
Was that for you a culmination of something? Was it the message that you're in the right hands? And then what did you do after that? Did you that affirm that Nadia was a person that?
It wasn't only the fact that my mom put our hands together, but it was the look on Nadia's face when it happened. It's very hard to explain.
Of course. So I want to take you one step forward, so that we just take you slightly out of that. And I know there's a lot that you're reflecting on, and we appreciate that you're sincerely reflecting on all of that. What's your thoughts of Nadia today?
We've come a long way. She's been part of so many things. My kids' lives, they see her as their mom, and she's just really taken that void away.
The role of your grandmother, just going one step back, the best role model is the same-sex parent.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've lost that.
Yeah.
So it falls to the grandmother or any other female present at the time.
Yeah.
So your grandmother was there for a while before Nadia decided
Yes,
to rock
definitely.
up. What was that role like?
I think my grandmother was just like the superhero, you know.
She's
looked
still
up
around?
She is. She's unfortunately suffering with fourth stage Alzheimer's.
Okay.
So lucky for me, I got the most information out of her that I could. But it is quite sad now that we're busy with the book. I really want to reminisce some of those things with her. Unfortunately, you know, she's not capable. She was superwoman. She came in and she not only rescued me but my dad as well. She looked after her son and then her son's baby. She was just taking care of everybody and making sure that we were all okay. My dad was only 23 years old. My mom was 25 when she died. They were children.
Of course, 25. That's very young.
25 and 23.
What's your message to Nadia?
I absolutely love Nadia so much, and she's got 4 other girls who I guess I fit in the middle there, and I love them dearly, and they are my sisters, and they've just been so welcoming, and we get along so nicely, and it's not about whether we blood or not. We just care.
Just before the show and before we briefed you, all in my office, and I watched the interaction, and I was trying to understand the interaction and trying to decide what's really happening there. And you said that, and Nadia said it, but you are like real family.
It's. I don't think we chose this. I don't think by any means we did. I don't think Nadia planned on having another kid. She's got her hands full with the 4 that she has. But I think the Almighty and my mom had other plans for her.
So that message to Nadia?
Just that I absolutely appreciate her undenying love and care for me and my kids. And
so you say that the love is totally unconditional, so there's no conditions.
Yeah, she's just, she's there. And I'm just thankful that, you know, she didn't think I was a bit crazy with my dream. And she openly accepted what I said to her. And ever since then, it's just been mom and daughter.
So what we're going to do next is, we've reached the end of the show. And my next episode is going to deal with Nadia and trying to understand that dynamic and how she sort of took you and accepted you as her own. And I'm going to have Nadia in the studio, and we're going to talk about her relationship and how they continue to forge that relationship going forward and the inspiration behind all of that.